Hi guys, welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV. I'm afraid we had a few technical difficulties there that involved us doing 10 minutes of a instant match reaction to absolutely nobody. But most importantly, don't worry about that because we've won 3-0 at Old Trafford. So frankly, you know, I could have been talking into the void for an hour and I wouldn't care. Big Ange Postecoglou getting his statement victory against Manchester United. A beautiful, beautiful performance. Goals from Brennan Johnson, Decky Kulusevski and Dominic Solanke. And I'm here with Barry. It's been a thoroughly enjoyable watch, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think from start to finish, we were incredible. You know, you can sit there and say how bad Manchester United were, but I think people need to give us some credit and some kudos for how good we were during that game. From start to finish, we absolutely dominated the scoreline. It could have been 6, 7, 8, maybe. If
perhaps should have been. And
perhaps should have been, dependent for a mixture, I think, of poor decisions and also some good saves from Onana. But I'm so proud of Tottenham today.
Can I just say something? Because they're just showing the stats on Sky. I can see in a TV over there. Spurs have 24 shots to United's 11, 4.67 in expected goals and 63% possession. Now look, Manchester United, you know, we've got a bit of time to talk about it here. I've got to say, Manchester United fans are saying, they've been saying we're back. But they've been playing like this for so long. The only difference is they've been nicking the first goal or whatever. They were absolutely battered by Tottenham today. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Tottenham fan. I'm saying that because I have loads of friends and family who are Manchester United fans. And they've been sometimes, Man United fans, laughing at Ange Postecoglou. And I've been thinking, actually, United fans should want to die for a manager who has a style of play like Ange Postecoglou. Under Alex Ferguson, it was always attack, 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 attack. They'd always chant it from the stands. That is what Tottenham under Ange Postecoglou are all about. To dare is to do. We've got a style now that everyone knows. And there's an article written in the week by Jamie Carragher talking about Tottenham being flat track bullies, which means the idea being that we only beat the teams who are in the bottom half, only beat the non-big clubs, right? And I've been talking about how Ange needs a statement win, and this is that statement win because we came up against a team who tried to sit back, not want control of the ball, just nick it with a set piece or something like that, and just from the second minute we absolutely dominated them. And I'm really hopeful now that this is the click that Tottenham players will have needed to get the full belief that the system is absolutely right and that we can go anywhere and score goals. And like Barry said, we could and should have scored 5, 6, 7 goals today. And you're right. That's because, give credit to Tottenham Hotspur because they played so brilliantly. And United fans will complain about the Bruno Fernandes red card. It was a red card, and United should have been 4-0 down at the time. He got the red card because he was so frustrated at how he was getting absolutely battered. So don't come to me saying that United were unlucky. They were not. They were lucky that they did not get an absolute Southampton-esque 9-0 hammering today.
Yeah, and look, Mickey van der Ven got player of the match for starting it all off. But Dejan Kulusevski created 9 chances in that game. That's the most on record by a visiting player in a Premier League game at Old Trafford. 9 chances, and he didn't stop running. Kulusevski was absolutely fantastic today.
Kulusevski, sorry to interrupt, mate, but Kulusevski reminds me of Eriksen at his best in that 10 role in terms of his ability to pick up positions, get in the pocket, being very hard to defend against, except he's got strength. So people bounce off him as well. That is what he's brilliant at. The only difference, I'd say, between him and Eriksen in terms of ability is that Eriksen was really good with shots outside the box on his left and his right. But I've been crying out for another Eriksen since he left. And Maddison is good there, but it's that... What I'm loving is that relationship that Maddison and Kulusevski have struck up between them, and that was why, and I love that Ange has seen it, he's now playing those 2 8-10s together, even at big away games like this.
Yeah, look, and Gary Neville's just come out and say that it was an absolutely disgusting performance from Manchester United.
Brilliant.
He said the pressure is going to get ramped up this week. It's going to be brutal. It's been a bad day for Ten Hag, really bad. He said it's one of the worst performances he's ever seen. It's brilliant for Tottenham. You have to say that. They were outstanding. The Man United fans boo the ref, but not even half the story. The big story was that first half. It was not from nowhere, but they have chosen to put in their very worst performance. It was a disgusting performance in effort and quality, and a lot of questions to answer from that group in the next week.
Listen, and it's stuff like that from ex-Manchester United players that time after time after time, manager after manager after manager gets them the sack because the pressure on those managers at Man United is so huge because they've got all those old Man United players who've become pundits said it's not how it was before. Well, face it, football has moved on. It doesn't work like that anymore. You've been overtaken by so many different clubs. And Ten Hag will get the sack, and they'll bring in another interim manager, I imagine, for a while. They'll try and find somebody, and on goes the circle. But Tottenham have made a decision in Ange Postecoglou, and he's been getting a lot of stick from Spurs fans saying it's not right, it's not good. Well, we've won, what, 4 on a spin now? 4 on the spin? Something has turned, and long may that continue. Let's talk a little bit about the goals themselves. It was only the second minute when Van de Ven ran the length of the pitch, beating 4 or 5 United players, and then getting in the most unbelievable fizzed cross across the 6-yard box for Brennan Johnson to attack at the back stick. And Johnson deserves almost as much credit as Van de Ven for that goal.
Yeah, look, he, again, right place, right time, making the right decisions. It's all about, there was periods of that game which we saw which started to become disjointed because we didn't make the right decision and we weren't in the right place, and we were trying to rush and we were trying to force things. Like you were saying, trying to make that worldy ball, that paradise ball, which is your trademark, so I'm not going to try and coin it.
No,
but,
you can have it, mate.
Trying to,
No, I definitely nicked it from somewhere, man.
Yeah, okay. But, simple. It was simple. It was quick. It was effective. Johnson was in the right place. We saw a performance from Johnson where he was taking on his man, driving down that line. He wasn't cutting back as often that we've seen the last few weeks. It's the confidence that has got into him from him scoring 4 in 4. And I just think that, both him and, on that left-hand side, they were just fantastic today. My only worry and my only concern from today, and it should be everyone's only concern, because we'll hover over Timo Werner. I'm sure we'll talk about it in a minute. But is how serious the injury is to Destiny Adoji.
Yeah. Although I have to say, just to try and spin a positive, and I like to be glass half full, I thought Jed Spence looked really comfortable in there when he came on. Thought he looked decent. Yeah,
he was. I mean, he got that early yellow card for that cynical handball. It was a yellow card. I think on first glances we thought, that looks a little bit not sure, but it was. And then we were worried that, the crowd were getting on top of the ref. The ref was making decisions based on the crowd's reaction. And then we were thinking, don't dive in, don't do anything silly. And, another mature performance from Jed Spence after everything that's happened, after everything that, playing out of position on that left-hand side. He played, again, really well. And he was actually forcing, before Werner came off, he was forcing Werner to drive down that line to create space for him to then go on the overlap, which we saw how he scored his goal against Coventry.
Yeah, I'm just going to go into some of the other chances that we created in that first half. Apologies if I repeat anything, just because we actually did a match reaction before this that didn't get shown because of technical difficulties. So if I'm repeating anything, apologies, but we will get there. So Madders in the 10th minute was put through on goal by Deki Kulusevski with the most beautiful Cruyff little back heel through, and Madders was very similarly to through on goal to how he was against Brentford last week. Tried to dink Onana, but Onana made himself big and did well. Then Werner was through on goal himself later in the half. Took a decent first touch, a half-decent second touch, tried to get it through the legs maybe of Onana, or just scuffed his shot, and Onana made another save. I don't know, I actually can't think of many games in the Premier League where there have been so many one-on-ones as there were today.
Yeah, there was, Werner had 2, 3, Solanke was through, but we've just had Ange talking.
Yeah, tell us what he's saying.
First bit of manager reaction. So, Tottenham boss Ange Postecoglou says, I thought it was an outstanding performance. We started the game well, scored a great goal and probably should have had 2 or 3. The pressure then overwhelms them and they get the red card. After that, I thought we controlled the game. Just an outstanding effort from all the lads. He was also asked, were you disappointed not to get more goals? And he said, I don't know about frustrated, but I'm only human. More for the players themselves who play some unbelievable football and you want them to get the rewards. The red card, he thought it was a consequence, again, like we said, of how we were going in the game. We were putting enormous pressure on them. The amount of chances that we were creating, we weren't letting them get out of their own half. It was a strong all-round performance. And on building momentum, he says it helps. I think our performances in the league have been strong all year, but we haven't had that cutting edge. Our performances have been good, but when you get the wins too, that is important. You want the players to think they're getting the rewards for their efforts.
Yeah, I think he's exactly right. And the thing that I love him saying about that is, about the red card. It was about the pressure that we'd put on Bruno Fernandes, the captain of that team, and all of their players and the fans, and he couldn't take it. He couldn't handle it, and in the end, he makes a mistake in the heat of the moment. And I think if there's a United fan out there who thinks or suggests that they lost that game because of the red card, they are clutching at invisible straws, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. Some of them are sitting there and going, you've seen the reaction, and from some of them, the messages, the groups are all flying, and it's just saying, Spurs don't have any songs. They're singing other teams' songs.
Oh, dear.
It's
Listen, I think if you're a United fan and you're getting to that point, I think just put your phone down. Maybe go and hide your phone under your bed or something. Just take a few hours off electronic devices, I would suggest.
Yeah, and look, I think again, it was just a fantastic. Again, they're trying to focus on the referee. They'll focus on the red card. They won't focus on the actual problems that they've got at that football club, which are a lot of problems.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about that second goal. Very, very important for us to get it early in the second half, because I was saying at half-time, as a Spurs fan, it felt like there's only one club who could potentially find a way not to win this game from here. At 1-0 up, outplaying your opposition, and they're down to 10 men. But Tottenham, I was worried, might let them back in, but actually at 2-0, which with the second goal coming in the 47th minute, that felt like it was pretty much done and dusted then. Brennan Johnson down the right, cuts it into Deki Kulusevski, who nudges it over the keeper with a beautiful bit of left-footed instinctive finishing.
Yeah, look, it was, again, fortune, you could say. But at the end of the day, when you're playing football like that, how many times have we sat there and said that, we haven't had that luck. We haven't had the rub of the green. We haven't had these things happening for us. And it popped up. And, Kulu still has to get that towards the goal. And it's a fantastic reaction to, kind of leap in the air, kung fu kick it with the outside of his left boot. And it was just a perfect start to the second half, because I think if we hadn't have done that, and bearing in mind later on, we see 2-3 big chances missed, United come back and they punish us.
Yeah. And the third goal didn't come till the 76th minute. But actually, for the kind of 5 or 6 or 7 minutes before that, Man United got up a little bit of a head of steam. For the first time in the game, they got the crowd involved in the game. There were a few little moments where the crowd wanted a booking for a Spurs player, and they got that. I think it was maybe with Brennan Johnson, maybe with one other. And it got the crowd into it, and that pushed United on for only about 5 or 6, 7 minutes, for another 5 or 10%. And they put Spurs under some pressure. They got a few corners in a row, a few set pieces, and we had to, in Antonio Conte's words, suffer for those few minutes. But as is quite often the case in football, when you draw a team on, you can then hit them on the sucker punch, and that's what happened. Solanke's goal, we got a corner. Bergvall had just come on, so had Sarr. Bergvall takes the corner, Sarr flicks it on at the near stick, and Solanke, with some fox in the boxing, just makes a nice secondary run and taps it in. Toe pokes it in from about 3 yards out.
Yeah, look, it was lovely. 24 seconds, I think it was, from Bergvall coming on. Showed Christian Eriksen what to do, because when he came on and took a corner, didn't beat the first man. I think, look, it was just, everyone was sitting there thinking, is it Basuma should come on. Ange knows best. And it was a fantastic corner. Sarr leaping like a salmon at that front post, flicks it on, and again, Solanke making the right decision, gambling, being there, just stretches out a leg, goes in the bottom of the net, and it's 3-0. And I think it's just incredible.
So Gary Neville, apparently, just to go back to that first goal and the assist from Mickey van der Ven, Gary Neville apparently said that is one of the best things I've ever seen from a centre-half. And I'm just watching the replay, but do you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember the same end? Jan Vertonghen for Spurs picked up the ball and just kept on driving at the United defence. And in the end, I think he got a shot off and it was deflected in. And it reminds me a bit of that, but this is like 12 times better. Just the absolute raw pace of it is incredible. And I think that will go in the annals of history. Just looking on the TV in the background, to be fair to Bruno Fernandes, he has come out and given full interview after the game. I didn't think they were even allowed to do that. They've been sent off. I thought they had to get out of the situation. But anyway, look, at the end, even because of the nature of the game and we were 3-0 up, we were able to bring on Mikey Moore. We were able to kind of take some players off after 75 minutes. With Ferencvaros in mind on Thursday night, we've won 4 games in a row. It's Ferencvaros, and then I believe, if I'm right, Brighton away next weekend. And then I think, am I right, it's an international break?
Another international
Spurs, in my head, have not won before an international break for so long. It's time. Let's make it 6 in a row going into the international break. If you saw Brighton at Chelsea yesterday when there were, 6 goals in the first half, they will open up and they will allow us to play our game. There will be so many goals, but we should have the players to go there and turn them over. And hopefully the confidence will take the kind of mix of first team and reserve players to a win at Ferencváros on Thursday. That's an important game as well. But how do you foresee that Brighton game going next week?
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously we've got a game on Thursday, and we need to come through that unscathed. We need to get that done early. I think that's the most important thing. Obviously, get to Brighton and look, Brighton are not gonna. They're like a bit like us. They went 3-0 down, or 3-1 down, or whatever the score was yesterday. Then
they were 4-2 down at half time, I think, weren't they?
Yeah, they weren't.
Or was it?
But they weren't playing a different way. regardless of what the scoreline was, their manager kept saying we play the same way. And
sounds familiar.
It's a bit like Spurs. So look, we've got an important rest and recovery now before Thursday. See how Sonny is. I think if there's any doubt, we don't play him, and we have him ready for Brighton.
Sit him at home on Thursday. You don't take him away. Get the ice on it.
Yeah, and I think, I think we'll see it in the comments. Spurs fans, we've won 3-0 today. We don't need to go in on Timo Werner missing 3 chances. Because that is, I know some will, and yes, it's disappointing, but when you really look at it, yes, probably you should have said he should have scored all 3. But when you dissect it and look at it, maybe 1 out of the 3 was probably in the best position. And you can argue that's because he didn't get in that position. You could argue that he shouldn't have been, he should have scored those goals. We just won 3-0 away at Old Trafford.
Yeah, that's
what we should be looking at.
I don't think there's any need to get overly negative about one player. What I would say about Timo is he makes really good runs. Unfortunately, a number of years ago, I guess, when he was at Chelsea, he lost his confidence. Because don't forget, for Leipzig, he absolutely ripped us a new one at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He scored, I think, nearly 40 goals one season for Leipzig. He can do it, but he's just lost his confidence. And actually, in the second one-on-one that he had in the second half, he did open his body up and try and do the right finish, I think. He tried to bend it around something up, and he just didn't get enough on it. And listen, for all of you who want to get negative about Timo in the comments, we need Timo Werner this season. I'm afraid we do. We just do, certainly up until January. And we need, what would really benefit us is for one of these one-on-ones to go in and for him to get some confidence. So let's try and get behind him. You just don't know, what happened with Brennan Johnson shows you don't know how much social media these guys look at. You don't know what they're hearing. And we're going to need these players. Just before we go, it's been really good instant match reaction. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I just want to give some credit to some of the players who maybe we haven't mentioned quite as much. For me, Decky Kulusevski, absolutely man of the match. It was given to Van de Ven by Sky because of that run, and that's fair enough. But Kulusevski, you said, made the most chances of any player in a Premier League match. Is that right?
Yeah, yes.
In the history of the Premier League?
Yes, it's
Wow.
2003, 2004.
So look, Kulusevski, my man of the match, absolutely. But I thought strong games from Pedro Porro, really, really strong from Pedro Porro, up against Garnacho, who I really rate. Obviously, Romero and Van de Ven did well. I thought Bentancur was excellent. And I think rest him on Thursday as well. Give Basuma the game there and let Bentancur play against Brighton. And I think Dominic Solanke, with his back-to-goal stuff, has given us, with his hold-up play, has given us an extra dimension in terms of keeping the pressure on the team in the final third and allowing then, if the ball does get cleared, then being kind of more like the pressure on from Solanke and the pressing allows those balls to be slightly kicked longer and then swept up by Van de Ven and Romero, and then we start again. In my opinion, I don't know what you think, but we're recycling the ball so much better this season than we were last season. And certainly since Solanke came back from his injury, I've been very impressed with his target man play.
Yeah, and 100%. I think, Porro started quietly, but then grew into the game as it went on. Obviously, Romero and Van de Ven, what do you say? So it's another clean sheet for the back four and Vicario. Which is massive, and that breeds confidence as well in terms of them together. But yeah, Bentancur again was fantastic. Obviously, there was a question mark of does Basuma start, does Bentancur start? But with Bentancur and Kulusevski on the pitch together, they just seem to lift each other in terms of levels. I thought, when that Solanke again, you're right, he was He was fantastic with that hold-up play. You know, also heading it out from corners when he was defending.
Yeah.
You know, we've certainly missed that, and I think it's just every single one of them, bar who we spoke about, had a decent decent game.
All 7 out of 10s at least.
And I think it's just, you know, again, Bergvall came on. Maddison was great. It was, you know, he was drawing fouls. It was just from all of them. Bergvall with their Sarr came on and gave that energy that we needed. Kulusevski didn't stop running. I think it'd be hard done by for him to not get man of the match today. And I get it why Mickey got it, but you know, Kulusevski and potentially Bentancur were probably in the conversation. I just think from start to finish, we dominated that game. We dominated the stats. We went to Old Trafford in a place where we haven't won for a long time. We have a poor record there.
Yeah.
And and what more could Tottenham do? All right, we could have won 6, 7, 8-0, but at the end of the day, we won 3 points and a clean sheet.
I've got only 3 words to kind of finish this with. Lads, it's Tottenham. What a result. A statement win for Ange Postecoglou. 3-0 at Old Trafford. Say what you want. Not many teams go and do that. Absolutely huge result. And I think this could be a real marker laid down for the rest of our season. All the boys played well. And I just think, guys, no need for any negativity about any Spurs player at all. Let's look forward to 2 more games this coming week. Let's get 6 in a row before the international break, and let's start looking upwards properly. Make sure you press a like on this video if you haven't already. Do subscribe to We Are Tottenham TV. Subscribe to my channel at @BarnabySlater_. Barry, thanks so much for joining me for both the watch along and the instant match reaction.